Good morning, everyone. Nice to see some new, fresh faces. Okay, on to our next speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Rob Whitewood. Rob was introduced to the practice of neurolinguistics when involved with a research project in the Prince of Wales Hospital Eye Clinic under Professor Fred Hollows. Rob went on to study neurolinguistics in Australia and the UK and the USA to become a master trainer. He has embarked on a lifetime journey in learning and exploring the past through his studies in Chinese medicine.
For the vast majority of us, we laugh at it when we see it in movies. We laugh at it when we see people. You will have had your own reaction as I simply walked onto the stage. It's an amazing place to realise that the subject of stress is a major contributor to pretty much all of the conditions that you will end up treating. Look at the eyes. How many times have you seen these? Maybe you will have seen these eyes in the people that are beside you. Maybe you've seen these eyes on entry into an examination. Anybody? Maybe you've seen these eyes. By the way, this expression only gets worse over time, doesn't it? When you're young, there's a sense of, yes, I'm nervous, but I'll get over it. And as you start to get older, you notice that some people just don't quite get over it. It just seems to get more intense. I suppose my question for you is, I'm going to have to, there we go. Imagine for a moment that you had the ability and the power to be able to do treatment with simply a word or a gesture. And that these words and gestures were actually backed by very, very hard science. We're entering into a world that is completely different. And I must admit, one of my major heroes in this entire area is a man by the name of Dr. Milton Erickson. As a young boy, he developed polio, and was the only muscles that he was actually able to move were the muscles of his eyeballs. He had to learn how to, or relearn how to walk, relearn how to speak. But one of the things that happened in that time, in his childhood, was he developed an incredible sense of observation. I suppose that's what you do when you're laying flat on your back with polio. The amazing thing was that he could tell who was walking in and out of the house by the way the front gate opened.
Doctors in all parts of the country were asked, "What cigarette do you smoke, doctor?"
Oops. By the way, that was a national campaign. They ran many commercials based with doctors through the 50s. And there was bunches of research saying how, these cigarettes were the cigarettes that doctors smoked. Am I advertising smoking at the moment? No. It's just one of those bits where 50% of the information that you learn. Now, this is where it gets a bit interesting. Isaac Newton, he came up with a brilliant concept, which was basically, it's all about maths, it's all about a machine, and we'll be able to figure it out. The universe is a machine, and because of that, we can understand it. And if the universe is a machine and we can start to pull that apart, then quite clearly the world is a machine and we'll be able to figure it out. And as a byproduct, if that's the case, then human beings are just machines too, and we would be able to figure it out. Now, there's a beautiful piece of this, and that is that if it's a machine and a part wears out, very clearly we can just simply pull out one part, put in another part. The subject of reductionism is sort of born at such a brilliant point. It means that if we know which bit is broken, then we can go down to smaller and smaller and smaller sizes until such time as we'll absolutely know how the entire system works. At the moment, most medical sciences are working on molecular structures, and this worked brilliantly up until a man came on the scene. This man, you might recognise him. And for all of the rules that had gone on so brilliantly through the the Newtonian structure, all of a sudden just got pushed out the window. Einstein fundamentally poked his tongue out at all of the Newtonian science. You know, our predators are not monster trucks, not monster trucks. Okay, what they are is more likely to be okay. Now, the question is, are they really predators? When we look at them, we have to ask a fundamental question. Are they really predators, or are they perceptual predators? And the answer is, to the human body, it really doesn't make any difference. If you perceive it as a predator and your body reacts in that way, then it's a predator. And all of these things just simply become perceptual in their nature. What do you think it means to this person? This is an individual who could not go up in a building. This is an individual who found it incredibly difficult to walk over like a bridge that if it had a grate, you know those grates that you can sort of see through and see the water? You know, his methodology was walking along. It's amazing how a simple phobia can have such a dramatic impact. Now, I'm going to ask you, how many people in this auditorium have phobias? And, like, please, everybody, put your hand up. All of you will. In some way, shape, or form. Now, they may be major, but there's a good chance that they're going to be relatively minor. Are they going to impact in a big way? Maybe not. So, 2020 doctors will need to take their own perceptual predators that run around on the inside of you. You know, and as a kid, what happened? Well, no more milk meant that I had no more days off school. Bugger. And as far as Ericsson was concerned, as he slept within the boiler factory, he realised something quite magical. He realised that he could just simply sit and observe, and that the people on the inside of this boiler factory seemed to be able to communicate brilliantly, perfectly. That the noise and the din was able to subside, and that they established a type of language that they could communicate with easily, purely through observation, observation, and observation. Over the next couple of days and this afternoon, I'll be about doing these different presentations for you. And if you've got any questions for me, I think now might be a good time to ask. Do you have anything? Yes?
How did you actually cure the lady with the pigeon phobia or the guy with the pigeon phobia?
What we did was we bypassed a lot of their critical thinking, went directly into their unconscious mind, and a bit like we changed the size of the picture that they held on the inside of their head. So if we say the spider is this big, but the picture of the spider is this big, quite clearly they're going to be afraid. What we did is we went inside and we shrunk the size of the picture for the lady with the pigeon phobia. However, with the fear of heights, what we had to do is travel back in time, not physically, but neurologically speaking. We had to go back to a time, and we discovered, outside of Carl's awareness, that he'd actually fallen out of a tree when he was about 8 years of age. And there was one statement that he said as he fell: "I am dead." That statement was the thing that every time he saw that perspective of the world triggered the predatory response inside him. So the mechanics here is that we're literally manipulating the neurological information that change the perceptional predator. Now, the body doesn't care whether it's a predator or a perceptional predator, it will react in exactly the same way. Did that answer it for you? Good. Anybody else? Thank you very, very much.
I think we're going to...